I'll take you to user administration,
Mhm.
group administration, delegation, etc. Right? So
Okay, yeah,
I have few pointers on these slides, so would like to take these. This one is very simple to administrate users. You have to go into see any system that you build will contain some sort of users, right? So is
right,
ServiceNow. You have some users identified here who will be able to use the ServiceNow system or any custom application that you build. You must identify the user base for that application, right? And
right.
this kind of activity is usually done in users administration, right? So again, we talked about tables. We talked about the different tables where different applications data gets stored into, right? So
Mhm.
when we talk about user administration is also a kind of application that we have in ServiceNow, right? And within that user
Mhm.
administration, you have this user module and login users. So let's look into the users module. The users module is actually a table, and the table is sys underscore user, right? I'll talk about table naming convention for a second. If you see a
Mhm.
table name that has a prefix of sys underscore, you can conclude that this table is a system table, right?
Mhm.
Usually
Yes.
convention wise, the tables which are starting with sys underscore are the system tables. The tables that start with u underscore something are the tables created by users, right? There could be also
Mhm.
the tables starting with something like x underscore 2434 underscore something. These are the
Mhm.
tables specific to a particular application, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
For example, if you talk about CMDB, so tables could be CMDB underscore CI. So this is a convention for tables under CMDB application. This is every ServiceNow instance has an instance ID. ServiceNow maintains that any instance ID, right? Now, if you create some custom applications, the tables created along with that custom application will start with this X underscore this, which is the system ID, the uh, the instance ID of the instance, and followed by the table name, right? Now, X underscore 2345 or something is something for you can see directly here. If I go into this user dot list this underscore user dot list. If I go into here, I'll see the list of all tables coming in. Okay,
Yeah.
it has 574 tables right now, right? If I
Mhm.
search onto user ID and I do x underscore, it should give me some tables which are not user ID. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. I was looking into the other thing. I need to go into tables and columns. If I go here and scroll down, okay, there is one custom table that I built. It starts with
Mhm.
the name of the table is marketing underscore event, but then uh, this is the label of the table. Marketing event is the label of the table, and the name of the
Mhm.
table is x underscore 25489 marketing underscore event. But the other tables you see CMDB underscore CI underscore endpoint underscore MAPI underscore hub, sys underscore
Yeah.
report and followed by this, CMDB underscore CI, right? So these are the convents.
Yeah.
If you create your application and you are creating tables, use these conventions, right? You
mm,
use these conventions that makes accessing the table easier, right? Because you can, by the
yeah,
name of the table, you can understand what type of data you are referring to. All right. So
mm,
so this is how tables are structured: system and user tables and tables associated to a particular application. We will talk a lot more about these tables later, but right now we just want to discuss this much. With that, I'll like to go into users administration, and we talked about that we need to administer users within our system. So I'll go to user administration application and hit users, which will take me to a list of records, which is actually the list of records from the sys underscore user table, right? And this
mm,
list of records shows to me that there are 574 users identified into this table right now, within this ServiceNow instance right now, and out of which only 20 records are getting displayed right now on the screen,
mm,
right? So this kind of
yeah,
information is coming up on the screen. Now, since we are talking about list of records, let's see some of the operations which is allowed on the list of records, since, on the list of records in this screen. See, this is a list of records, right? Presenting all the records and some rows and columns. Okay.
mm,
Here you have sorting feature. You can sort on the basis of each of these columns that you have, right?
mm,
This I button, when you hover hover on it, you will get details from the table in a pop-up, right? It will show the information in the same information that you have in the row in form of a pop-up. It
mm,
will show you so that you can have a single view, and you can see everything there, right?
mm, mm,
Now, sorting we saw. This is this gear button that we have here. If you click this, you are able to see all other columns from the table, from the user table, right? So it's not like the user
mm,
table only has the seven columns, the seven columns that you are displaying on the screen. There are several other columns that you have within the table. It's just that you are not displaying those columns on the screen right now, right?
mm,
For example, if you want to show your employee number, first thing, gender, all these three on the screen, you will go ahead and do OK. You get the employee number now, the first name and gender,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
so this is to personalize the list of records that you have, and that's why it reads personalized list column, right?
mm,
Then you have different other properties. You can wrap column text. If the text is longer, you can wrap it up, right? You can see compact rows, so that will, the screen will have the data in a compact view, etc. So these are the properties these are the for look and feel of this list of records, so you can play with it and see what it is doing, right?
mm,
Now that's personalizing the list. If you go down, you will see this drop down menu here. So these menus contain some action, right? Right now, all of these items that we have here is disabled, right? And that's because we haven't chosen any record here. Make use of the checkboxes that you have here to select a particular record and go back, and you will see some of the items will get activated, right? Like this delete
mm,
item, this gets activated as soon as you select a record, right? Now, you can delete this record by choosing that, right?
mm,
But,
yeah,
uh, sorry, not but. So you can delete this item by choosing the item and then deleting it. You'll get a confirmation item here, right? And you can delete that data. Likewise, you have other
mm,
functions which is create application file. This is to create application file is to migrate data and application from one environment to another environment. We'll talk about it
mm,
later. These are tags. If you want to tag any particular record with some text, if you want to tag that, you can tag that too here. Right? For example,
mm,
if you want to do a new tag, you can go ahead and create a tag and associate to the particular record, right? And the benefit of
mm,
having the tag on is that at a later point of time, you can go ahead and search records, only those records that you have tagged with a particular text, right? Meaning tag-based search is also permitted here, right?
mm.
For example, if I go ahead and tag it as a special user and save it, let's go ahead and within the personalized list, see if we have tags. We have tags column here. I'll go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and add it on the screen. And then I'm changing the order to make it visible on the screen right away. So
Mm-hmm.
after email, I put the tag here. See, the rest of the records we don't have tags. But if I
Yeah.
scroll down and I go on Vince HL, I get this special user tag, right? Now, this
Mm-hmm.
tag that you have created can be associated to any other record. See,
Mm-hmm.
because that gets stored in some sort of table, the tags table,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you get that
Mm-hmm.
record here and you can tag your record accordingly. Now, if you go up the screen, you will see this filter button, right? So this filter
Yeah.
image, the filter icon is to show that you can filter out the list of records that you are looking into, right? Right now you are just seeing 20 records and without any criteria, right? You opened the list of records and you got all the record that was there in the table. Right? But now, if you have a if you a case, if you have a scenario where you want only a selected piece of record, you have to go into and apply some filters. For example, if I go here, hit this button, I get this drop downs, a list of drop downs here, where I can choose the filters and hit run. It will show me only the specific records. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and start typing tags, and I'm going to search on the basis of tags, and the value that I'm going to search is spatial user, right? And I'm going to hit run. See, now that I hit run, I get just the two records that I just tagged it, right? And I can see that the filter condition says out of the all records we have, filter out only tags, filter out only those records where tags has a special user. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah. 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 It makes sense.
Yeah. So this way, and now you can see that the number of elements that we have on the screen is saying that two of two records
Oh,
are
cool.
there, right? So within the system user table, you only have two records where the tagging is done for the special user, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go back to the all of the records, you can simply hit on this link, and it will take you back to the all records, right? Because you are getting rid of the filter that you applied. Now, if you want to apply
Mm-hmm.
filter, you can apply multiple filters. For example, if you have tags, spatial user, you can do and, you can do or, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
select from all of the table columns that you have. For example, if you want to have active is false, right? See,
Mm-hmm.
both of the records that we have here, active is true. Let's go ahead and change the value for one of the records as active equal to false. I'm changing this. Since I am admin, I can play with this record and I can change the value here by double clicking it, right? When I double click,
Mm-hmm.
I get this drop down, I select this false from here and hit OK, and the record is updated, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now, out of the two records that have special user tag, one is inactive, another one is active. Let's go ahead and run this report. When I run this report, oh, we
Yeah.
did R. We did R. So we
Right.
should not do that or. We should do and instead.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this and do active is true and active is false running. Now you can see that we only have one record coming in where active equals
Mm-hmm.
false, right?
Yeah.
So the condition changes to out of all records, get the records that have tags as special user, and then out of those, pick only that record which has active equals false. Make sense?
Yeah. It makes sense.
Okay. Now, some more buttons here. The navigation buttons. You can jump on the next set of records by going on here. You can hit the double arrow button to get to the last record, right? Last
Mm,
set of record here. So these are the two buttons that we can utilize. Apart from this, you have this list control menu item here that you can go ahead and use to view default view, idle view, or mobile view. You can do that to apply filter, to apply group by clauses on the records that you get here, to show the number of records. Right now we are only seeing 20 records at a time, right? Just
mhm,
20 records at a time. If you want to see more, let's do it 50. Now we are getting
mhm,
50 records of 574 in one go, right?
mhm,
I'll keep it as 20 because that will make my page a little bit faster. So I keep it 20. Now hit there. And then you have refresh list, right? It is very common to refresh the data. And that will give you a refresh list of data. Alright? Now that is not
mm,
all. You got this menu, that is not all. You have several other menus available on this screen. Right click here, you will get the same menu items here. Right? The
mm,
one that we just saw. If you right
mm,
click on this blue bar, you will get this custom menu and you'll get those options available. Right? That's not all.
mm,
If you go to the record level and you right click, see this is the header email. I clicked on email and I right click, I get this context menu. I click on here on the record, I get a different context menu.
mm,
See? On the headers I have different context menu. On the record I have different context menu.
mm,
Alright? It's right now if I go to tags and I go to tag record, right click here, right click, not showing. See, if I right click here and I do show matching, if I do show
mm,
matching, I clicked on active equals to true. It will show me all the records where active equals true, right? So out of the
mm,
574 records, it is showing that 573 records are active equals true, right? And see the
mm.
filter change to active equals true here.
Yep.
Automatically it will change, right? If I go back and right click here and I do filter out, so it will not show me the records where active equals true, right? It is showing
Mm,
out of the 574 records, only one record is there which is active equal to false. And see the filter change to active not equals to true, right?
yeah.
Now if we go back here, if we want to copy URL to clipboard, so it simply copies the URL for that particular record where we copied the URL, and when I hit it, I get the data. So the user data is displayed on the screen, right?
Oh.
Right. So that particular record is displayed. So how do we make sure that we are only copying that particular record? And that is because you have a sys ID associated to every record,
Yeah.
right? If I go
Mm,
and if I select a different record and I do copy URL to clipboard, see the base
mm.
URL and the parameters will be same, but the sys ID field will change,
It
right?
changed. Yeah.
So this gives you a unique URL for each of the records within the system,
Mm,
right? And then you can
mm,
uniquely identify that record using this sys ID. No other record within the system will have this sys ID because sys IDs are
mm.
unique, right? For any table, any application, this sys ID is going to be generated just once. All right.
Yep. Yeah. Mm,
Do you want to copy that sys ID? If you want to copy that sys ID, the sys ID can that only that sys ID will be copied, not the URL, and you get the sys ID. Right.
mm,
So if you want to filter on the basis of sys ID, you can do that too. You can go here Type in sysID equals this value and run it. It will show you one record, right?
Yeah.
And you search on the basis of sysID.
Right.
Now, since we are talking about filters, let's quickly see uh, this. When you do programming, meaning when you script your applications within ServiceNow and you have to apply search feature, you have to look through the records within the table, right? If you have to do that, and if you have to apply filters like we are just doing on the screen, you have to get some way, you have to define some way how you can apply those filters, right?
Mm.
So the filters will be applied in the same way, but programmatically you will use those in form of some query. For example, right now we applied sysid equals this. So programmatically, how you can denote this is this: sysid equals this. If you are going to apply multiple filters, for example, if you are going to apply tags equal special user and active is true and updated
Mm.
updated on today, and you run this. So you applied three filters, right?
Yeah.
See, this is the filter and there is no record right now, but this is the filter. If you want to copy the query, copy this query, go to the screen and paste it. I'll
Mm.
change the language of this editor and see. See, now the filter that we have is tags dot this equals this this
Mm.
value. This value that you have is systags, and within the systags you are looking for special users, right?
Yeah.
So it automatically took the tag table that we have is sys underscore tag, right? Out of the
Mm.
underscore tag, you are taking the special user value, and that equals to this, right? And
Mm.
active equals true, and sys updated on today, and this is the JavaScript function that it automatically applies,
Yeah.
right? So the beauty of it is that you do not have to remember, you do not have to memorize how to do this encoded queries, right? All you have to
Yeah.
do is apply on the list of records, right click and copy the query, and you'll get that query
Mm.
to apply it on the program.
Oh.
All right,
Yeah.
very cool way of doing that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
But here, Raul, for example, this is getting the information from one given table, right?
right,
The user table, for
right,
example.
right,
If I want to get information such as from a user table and then another table, basically in SQL, what we do is we use a join as a
right,
right or left join.
right.
How are we handling that kind of needs?
Right. When we start scripting, we have those join features available in ServiceNow. That's with the script, right?
Mm.
Within the script, you will have those features available where you can apply uh, different joins between different tables and get
For
data.
example, we have a user and we want to know the role of that user, right?
Right.
So we have to
See, see,
join
yeah. So
the
see
user.
the shared system architecture that ServiceNow has. If you want to just see the role of the user, see you have different other tables like the roles table,
Mm.
and see how simplistically you can see that data here is to pick the user. For example, this is Villa Dut, right? If I
Mm-hmm,
go
mm-hmm,
here, hit on this, if you want to see the roles of the user, you have this related list here, related link here,
mm,
related list, sorry, right?
mm,
All the roles of that user will be appearing here. Programmatically, you can also do that, right? We will see in later classes when we start scripting, we start using glide record, etc. We will get out
mm,
details of how to access data from different other tables,
mm.
by joining other tables. Right? So we'll
Right,
get
right.
that information. But here,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
if that is only associated to, if we are only interested in looking into the user data and the role data,
Right. Mm.
You can go into and you can find out the related lists, and related lists contain all of those information.
Uh,
Let's go back for a second.
okay.
We looked into all of these functions, all of the options available here on the screen. Let's look into the search feature that we have. If you want to search quickly, right, just on the columns that are identified here, right? See, 7, 8 columns have been identified. So the number of columns that you identify on the screen will be displayed here in the list. If I go here and if I take out some of the fields,
Yeah.
hit OK, I'll only have those new fields here, right? Rest of the fields
Yeah.
go away. Now on the basis of these columns, these fields, you can search here too. For example, if you want to search on the basis of name, and I want to search Rahul, I hit this and I get the data related to Rahul, right? You can
Yeah.
do you can do wildcard searches as well within percent. You can type in Rahul and that will give you all the records related to Rahul. And see the filter changes to all name contains Rahul,
Yeah.
right? It changes to name contains Rahul. So this way you can search using this quick search that you have here. All right,
Mm. Mm.
and you
Yeah.
always have the powerful filters available where you can go ahead and apply multiple filters according to your requirement. All
Mm.
right.
Right.
So these are the ways by which you can get data from the system. How do we create data within the system? Do you notice this new button?
Yeah.
So to create a record into this table, you have this new button. Go ahead, hit this. When you hit this, you will get these fields, the the default fields that you need to fill in to get the records into the system, to set the record into the system. Right? It starts with user ID, first name, last name. Then you can identify title, right? Title you can have from the list of titles available within another table. Then you have a list of departments identified in another table that you can pick from, right?
Mm.
Identify a password for the user, email, right? Notification enable or disable. This is to allow user to receive notification emails from ServiceNow, right?
Mm.
Calendar integration is if you want to integrate Outlook calendar with that user. So for that you have this. You want to identify the time zone of the user. You have the time zone field available. Date format for that
Mm.
user according to the region he falls in. For example, US,
Yeah.
you do MMGD In India, we
Yeah.
do DDMMYYYY, right? So it's British,
Oh, okay.
so it's slightly different. So you can
Mm.
choose according to your requirement and uh, identify the date format for the user. Then put the
Mm.
people's phone, mobile phone. If you want to add a photo, upload a photo of the user as well. Let's go back to
What is this round here? I
what?
see two things. Web service access only and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
internal
yeah. Yeah.
integration
I'm
users.
coming back
What
to
is this?
see, the web
That
service
means?
access only is when you
Mm.
identify an application within ServiceNow which has to interface with an outside system, outside third-party
Oh.
application, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to create some specific users for that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
those users which are allowed to web service access only will not be able to see this screen. However, they will be used to interface between different applications, ServiceNow and the other application outside ServiceNow, right?
Mm.
So that's
Mm.
that's a role you are giving just web service integration, web service access role to that user.
Mm-hmm.
So that user will have limited access of integrating third-party systems to ServiceNow if you do that, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, if you see this logged out is if user. keeps trying on, keeps trying to log in into the system with incorrect password, account will get logged and it will automatically be checked. Then you will have to go ahead and uncheck it to get that unlocked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Internal integration user is again for some integration aspects. We will see about this internal integration user later, right? We'll
Mm.
talk about it. Password reset is if you check this, next time the user logs into this user logs onto the system, he will have to
Yeah.
reset the password.
Mm.
Right? So this is a record that I already created with a user ID named as Rahul.Rakesh. I didn't associate a photograph. If you want to associate a photograph, you can do that too. Right?
Mm.
So I created this record and then I went ahead and associated some roles to it. See, I can associate multiple roles to that record. Right?
Mm.
To do that, you need to hit the edit button and
Mm.
you will get this list selection view here and you can go ahead and select the number of rows you want to associate to that.
Mm.
Right? And then you
Yeah.
drag it to the selected list and then you save it. The moment you save it, the roles are updated and you will see a lot more roles here. Now we have 42 roles here for this user.
Mm.
Right? Now
Yeah.
when you associate these roles to the user, these are not just the system roles. These are the custom roles as well. The some of the roles are created by you. For example, if you are building custom applications, you must be thinking of creating your own custom role that should be utilized in order to access your application. Right?
Mm.
If that is the case, if you want to access your applications using only your roles, you can create your roles and you can associate those roles to the users using this. Right? So that's roles. Role has a different table. These records that we see is in another table which is roles, probably sys roles. And you can see there are 178 roles identified within the system. I clicked on this roles link, roles module, and I see all of the roles created here. 178,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Likewise, groups are also related to users. If you want to relate, you can relate.
Mm.
You can create new groups or you can edit and select existing groups to associate that user to, right? For example, if
Yeah.
I want to associate that user to CAB approval, I can do that, associate it and save it. And this user will be associated to the CAB approval user, right?
Mm.
Delegates, if this user is to go on vacation and while he is away, he wants to delegate his task to somebody else, he will be creating
Mm.
delegates, right? For example, if I'm the user, I'll find out a delegate for myself. Let's do able tutor and I save it. And I'm allowing approvals, assignments, CC notifications and meeting invitations to that user.
Mm.
And I save this, right? So this user
Mm.
will be able to do all these activities on behalf of me while I am away, right? So
Mm.
that's the benefit of having delegates in place. And then subscriptions. If you are subscribing to any of the events on the ServiceNow area, right? You will get notifications for that event that happens on those areas. So you can subscribe for those events, those those items, and that will come under subscription view, subscription list that we have.
Sorry, say it again, Raul, on the subscription part. What was that?
Hang on a second, I'll just show you what I'm telling. See, this user can subscribe to different updates on different applications within this grid,
Okay.
right? If I go to some custom application and there we have subscription available and I as user Rahul.Rakesh subscribe to that that application over screen, so any change that happens there will be informed to me as well, right?
Okay.
So
Okay. Got it.
you get that subscription there, right? And if you
Mm-hmm.
do any subscription with to this user, if this user has subscribed to any of the events, and you do this view subscription, you will be able to see that subscription list here, right? But right now, we
Mm-hmm.
don't have any subscription, right? And this subscription
Mm-hmm.
table should be, I believe, the sys underscore subscription table. Let's find out what table is. These are the list of subscribers. We are listed. We are interested in the subscription table, which is license underscore details, right? So license underscore details dot list. So these are the subscriptions. There are no subscription created right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this takes you to the
Yeah.
subscription tables, but there is no subscription right now. So if somebody subscribes to any event, any application, or any activity, you will get that information stored into the subscription table,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The notification preferences, again, you can associate to different notifications or different subscriptions that are available using this. If you want to do a personal subscription, then you can identify what to subscribe to, any notification email that you want to get into,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I want to go to, since we have done users, let's look into logged in users. If I go into logged in
Mm-hmm.
users, I get the list of records who are actually logged into the system, right? See,
Mm-hmm.
I can see three users are actually logged into my instance right now, out of which two
Mm-hmm.
of the users are active equals false, and the one with the admin credentials is active equals true, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it is showing me the last transaction that this user has done, right? One is
Mm-hmm.
FNC Mid server user, another one is again FNC Mid server user, but doing some other transaction. This is a transaction, this is a transaction, this is the other
Yeah.
transaction that is happening, right? So this way you
Mm-hmm.
can see logged in users. So if you hit on this user detail here, right, and if you want to lock out the session for that admin user, you can do that
Mm-hmm.
lockout session as well, right? Then for that user,
Mm-hmm.
you can see some details here. What type of operation the user has been doing, right? What is the response time that this ServiceNow instance has offered to that user, right? And you can see that
Mm-hmm.
the average response time to that user is 203 milliseconds,
Yeah.
right? The maximum
Yeah.
maximum response time was 3,528 milliseconds to that user, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get information about that a particular user. Then you can hit on this one and you can drill down to get more information about the user's activity. For example, this is showing me a user agent that I can find out here, and it shows that it has been accessed by Apple WebKit. So it looks like it was used by Safari browser, right? So while the user
Mm-hmm.
did this operation, the user was using the Safari browser and did some of these activities, right? So stuff like that, you can get
Mm-hmm.
this information from the user login user details, right? You get information about the transaction that the user has been doing, right? So that's the level of
Yeah.
detail that you get here. I'm not going to log out this session. That's logged in user. But here we have a default filter, which is user not equals guest. If you do all, it will show me all of the users who have logged in. Right now, the total number of logged in users is 3 only, right? And
Mm,
all these 3 records are not the guest records, right? These users are not guest users. So that's why you
right.
have this information, right? Now,
Mm,
groups. See, if you want to create groups, you have to redo the exercises that you did for users. Go to this users
ah,
and groups, hit on the group. When you hit on the group, you get a list of all the groups created already, right?
mm,
Same screen, different table. You can do all those stuff that you did on the user table, right? All of
mhm,
the menu items, right? So these will be
yeah.
same. If you want to create a new group, hit new group here, and then go ahead and create a group that you want to create, right? Once you have created that group, you can go ahead and associate different users to the group, right? This group has been created, and I'm going to associate
Mm,
group members to this. I can hit this edit button and associate different members from the user tables here, and those will be my group members, right?
mm,
So if I am sending an email to the group and there are 5 users associated to the group, meaning there are 5 group users, so that email will be
mhm,
sent to all the group members. So stuff like that, right? So benefit of a group is the benefit for all of the members of the group, right?
mhm, yeah.
So you have that group. So this way you can create groups. Now when you have created groups, you can associate roles to the group so that the roles that you want to associate to the users is associated to all of the members of the group. Right?
Mhm,
So you can do
yeah.
role association here using the roles related list and associating the roles to this. Alright?
Yeah.
This is fairly simple. Now one of the groups can also contain other groups, right? There could be sets of the group. For example, this training user could be associated to another groups. So you can go ahead and create other groups and you can associate that group to this training user, right? So you can always nest your groups within another groups. Nesting of groups is
Mm,
permissible, all right? Uh, this is reports. This is just a report created. We'll talk about it when we go to report. Let me see the access role detail here. This is again some sort of okay. This is giving you the access control list details of the user,
mhm,
right?
mhm, yeah.
What user is allowed to what type of operation. So if you see here, these are the operations allowed. Right operation is allowed to this user, right? For
Yeah.
some of the tables and columns, etc. So you will have the list of all the security access control lists here within this report. We may come
Mm,
back to see this at a later point of time when we talk about access control lists.
mm.
Okay. And I'm going to do some more. See, I want to come back to this user administration
Mm,
application here.
okay.
If within the application navigator, we go to user administration. We saw
Mm,
users, we saw groups, we saw
yeah.
roles, we saw logged in users.
Logged in users.
Let's look into active transactions, right? So if you do active transactions, it will show you all of the transactions which is actually right now active, right? So right
Mm-hmm.
now it shows that only one transaction from the administrator user, which is this administrator user. We have logged in as this administrator. So there is only one transaction going in right now, and that is the active transaction. And the transaction that we are searching for is the foreground transaction. So you get the list of all the transactions in process, right, which is in foreground. Obviously, ServiceNow is also having some background processes going in, background transactions going in, which you will also be able to see if you want to, right? But right now, the
Mm-hmm.
only transaction that is active right now is this, right? So you can get that active transaction from the transactions, active transactions module here. All active transaction is another view of the same record that you see here. Pending user registration. Um, if I do log out and I go to the login page,
Mm-hmm.
there is a link here on the page. Request a user
Yeah.
account, and this is self-registration form. Let's do. I want to register using these details.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and submit it. Alright, it says to me that this email ID is
Already.
already in use. So let's go ahead and put something different. And I'm going to submit it. Right? So I
Mm-hmm.
just requested to create one account for me, right? Using
Yeah.
self-registration form.
Yeah.
Let's log in. That's a landing page. Anybody can go on the landing page and then request to create a login for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, administrator has an responsibility to go ahead and approve those requests, approve or reject those requests,
Oh, okay.
right? Now, within pending user registration,
So in on real life, a user can request login, right? And then it's
uh,
up to the administrator.
if
Is
if
that?
if you are allowing that to happen, if you go
Oh,
back to your if you go to the login page of your instance, you might not be able to see that self registration request, the self service request link there. Can you do that for me?
okay. Oh, okay. Let me see that. When I go, first I have to log out, right?
Yeah, log out and go to the login page.
Okay, let me do that. No, there is no.
Right. So you have to
Uh,
actually activate that, right? So if you want that your users are able to see those self
mm,
service registration uh, rec-
yeah.
user creation link there, then you have to enable that. And to enable that,
Mm,
you have to go into user registration request plugin and you have to activate this, right?
okay.
So for that, you will have to do plugins. Go into the plugins,
Mm,
and the name of the plugin that we have is user registration request.
mm,
User registration. See, you have this plugin. For me, this is active.
yeah.
For you, it will be inactive.
Mm,
If you activate it, log out and go to the screen, you will be able to see that create user account link.
mm.
Are you trying right now?
No, I'm trying to log in back. Let me 1 second.
You have to activate this plugin. To activate, hit on this user
Mm,
registration request, and then you have to do activate or update.
okay.
Okay. Let me know when you are able to do that.
Okay. Why I'm not logging even? Why it's not allowing me?
Is it?
I'm trying to log in, but I didn't forget my password. What happened? I'm using the right password.
Did you lock
And
yourself out?
ah, it seems.
Yeah, so you may go to developer.servicenow.com and reset your password, admin password, and then log back.
Yeah, but I don't. I saved even my password.
Looks like you did something wrong. Anyway, you
The
can try
password
that
is
out
okay.
later, and
Okay,
then
I'll try it later.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then we'll see. Right
Okay.
now, until the administrator approves this request, the user will have this. This record will be under the pending state. Right. To activate it,
Right.
to allow access to this user, I'll have to go into, and then I'll have to either choose create user or choose reject user, right?
Mhm.
In any
Yeah.
case, emails will go out to the user saying whether the account has been created or rejected, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
When you do create user, it will open up the user form and you will have to fill in the rest of the details for the user,
Mhm.
right? And then when you save, the state of this record changes from pending to approved or something, right?
Yeah.
It will no more be pending. And then the user will be allowed to log into the system,
Oh, okay.
right? So this is actually a very cool way of letting users request access for any instance,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Then after that, you have some small administrative activities like creating departments within your organization. So use this department table and this list of records to create the departments. You can create
Mhm.
locations, right? Right now I have 425 locations here. So you can create new locations in the locations table. You can create companies, right? Within the company table, you will have that list of records here. You can create location map that will show you your locations on the map, the different locations that you have within the table that will be
Mhm.
shown on the map as a pin, right? So it shows that
Yeah.
there are different locations on the globe that we have identified, and the identified locations are being shown as these pins, the data pins that we have, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Here are you, somewhere here. You, this is jealous, right? You are here.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Location map and then countries. You may identify different countries, their currency, their time format, their population, etc. And this can be
Yeah.
used in any other application at a later point. All right.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much for today within the user administration. We'll
Right.
talk about more administrative activities tomorrow, and
Sure.
right. In the meantime, you can practice all of these things. Try to activate that plugin as well that we activated for self registration, and
Right.
we'll talk to you tomorrow.